Oh
So
wow.
I was scrolling TikTok last night,
Uh-huh.
as I do, and I saw the craziest thing that I think I've ever seen on Book Talk, and it was two girls talking about how they read books and listen to the audiobook at the exact same time. And like all of the comments, like everyone's minds were melted. So I know I was like not alone in it, but I was like, this is insane. Like I could never. And they're like listening at it at like 1.5 speed and like listening to anything sped up stresses me out. Tyler likes to do that and it makes me feel like whatever's being told to me is rushed and it just makes me like not enjoy it. So that was already stressing me out. But then some of the comments were talking about how some people watch TV with subtitles and like it's kind of the same thing. So, my icebreaker though is do you ever watch TV with I just said it subtitles
Subtitles?
on?
I don't. I find it very distracting.
Me too.
The only time I have to use subtitles is when I don't understand what someone's saying. Like if
Right.
okay, so here's my thing with
Accents.
yes. Or if like somebody's talking really quickly and
Mhm.
okay, so here's my example. But
Uh-huh.
I have a thing about audio nowadays because I feel like whenever something is happening, it feels like my house is going through an earthquake. Like if there's action or like the music or whatever. But
Mhm.
whenever people speak, it's like very quiet and you can't understand
Ooh.
what they're saying. Do you know what I mean? Like whenever somebody
Yeah.
talks, it's like very low. So you turn it up and
Yeah.
then something happens and all of a sudden your house is
Yes.
shaking. So,
Yep.
or if someone's having sex, if somebody's having sex, I'm like, my neighbors think that I'm a dirty pervert because they can hear, even though
Right.
my neighbors are very far
So
away,
loud.
like it's just
Mhm.
so everything like that's very loud. Um, the whole time that I watched the movie Scream in my entire existence, which is a lot, there's one part where when the Drew Barrymore's on the phone with the killer, he says something like, "Can you handle that, Blondie?"
Mhm.
I, for the longest time, thought he said, "Can you handle that, bloody?" And I was like, why is he talking in a British accent all of a sudden? So that is like an example of I'm like, what did he say? Like, I don't get it. And like that is an example of when I will use subtitles if I just like have rewound it like 3 or 4 times and I still cannot
Yes.
process what they're saying.
Yeah. Dude, we actually watched a YouTube video about how a lot of people feel the way you do and that dialogue is quiet and everything else is too loud. And I can't remember the complete conclusion of the video, but like you're not the only person to feel that way.
So my thing is when I got Apple TV, I thought the sound was perfect. And then I
Hmm.
got a new TV. When I got a new TV, I got a sound bar.
Oh, yeah.
And ever since then, it's like the hours that I've spent on my settings for my TV, my settings for my soundbar, and my settings for Apple TV
Hmm.
has been wasted because like I just don't understand it.
Oh, that sucks.
And it's like certain apps too, like anything Hulu is very
Hmm.
loud, but like HBO Max, Netflix, some other apps, it's like I have to like crank the volume like crazy.
I have noticed that like there's a difference between the volume of YouTube and Hulu. This is so fascinating. What an
It's
icebreaker.
crazy. It's crazy. It's like I just think that there are some things that are a scam.
Yeah.
I think that it's very weird that my old TV had better sound than my brand
Mhm.
new TV, which is very low. So it's
Yeah.
like they did something to the TV, so you have to buy a sound bar in order to like
Uh,
hear what you're watching. But
mm,
I mean,
big TV.
I also feel the same way about skincare. Like a few years ago, the biggest thing was like make sure that you include toner in your
Yeah.
skincare routine. And now I keep seeing TikToks of like dermatologists that are like the biggest scam is toner.
Yeah.
And so
I
like
feel
I'm
like
like a wash my
health.
face, moisturize, SPF, that's it. Like
Yep.
I'm not buying serums, I'm not buying toner, I'm not buying
Right.
anything else. That's it.
Really, I feel like if you are moisturized, I feel like it makes a pretty big difference. Not necessarily needing four different types of it.
Yeah, like I don't need like 100 different things. I just there are there's scams everywhere. Speaking of scams,
Speaking of rude, that dog's outside. That dog's outside. Hey, Bruce. There's a dog barking like right out that window. Bruce Wayne, come here, bud. And I'm alone with the Bruce Wayne, so I'm alone with both of them.
but he's the problem child.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And he's the one who's gonna always be right next to me. So okay.
Um, so the
Um. So I also I don't like watching with captions. I feel like sometimes it spoils the stuff or the timing because you can like read ahead and
yes,
it
that's how I
like
feel about
ruins
TikTok.
suspenseful stuff.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
yeah, that's my feeling about captions while I sit here and pet Bruce to get through this podcast.
Um, well, there's kind of a big scandal going on right now that I feel like we should talk about.
Universal Music Group, possibly? Nope. Okay, go
No,
on.
what's going on with them?
It's not even a scandal. I just didn't know because you said TikTok, but Universal Music Group, which is like Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, Drake, like tons of artists, they just pulled all of their catalog from TikTok. So
So
now,
dumb.
like anyone who has ever used the sound is completely muted. So it's like there are people who like have whole accounts that have been like built around stuff like this, and it's just complete like all their videos are muted now, like people who did reaction videos and all of that. So it's like the TikTok community is pissed.
I would be too. Do you have any idea how many times I've like gotten a song? I don't want to say like I bought it
Yeah,
because I have Apple Music, so like I get like unlimited whatever,
right.
but like I
Yeah,
would
Spotify.
I got a song or I bought it or I streamed it or whatever the case may be
Yeah,
because I heard it trending on TikTok. Or
exactly.
like how many like singles were popular because of TikTok? That's so
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it was a dumb choice.
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna be received as well as they thought they were gonna be able to sneak it by. So
no,
weird.
no.
What scandal were you talking about?
Okay, I'm gonna try to say this so that I don't get us sued.
Oh, nice.
Right now there's a huge scandal with an author whose name is JD Barker.
Mm,
He is a Edgar Award winner. I've read
hmm
his books. I've loved his previous books, but he has a
hmm
new thriller coming out, and it's like a romantic thriller or an erotic thriller. And
Okay.
allegedly, his team or him had sent out these emails to a bunch of female influencers to promote the book, and it was like some of the ideas for the influencing videos they wanted would be like the camera going up a nude woman's body and her holding the book over her naughty
Oh my
bits.
gosh.
And people have posted screenshots of these emails, right?
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
so and it was one of those things where it felt very creepy in general, but the creepy thing that a lot of people are saying has gone too far is not only
Mhm.
are you asking for that, but the videos and photos and stuff had to be sent to him personally for approval.
No.
And it is just
Oh,
blowing up all
oh
over
my
TikTok.
gosh.
It is blowing up everywhere. Um,
That
Again,
is so creepy.
even though they're screenshots, all alleged, he's claiming that it was not him. It was like the PR company that he works with. But like, I guess he's one of the founders of that PR company.
Right.
And so it's just a huge mess. Like his books are like very, very, very popular because like he wrote a book called The Fourth Monkey, which was like
Mhm.
all over the place years ago.
Mhm.
Like he's been compared to like Stephen King. like
Okay.
big names, and now it's like everyone's like trying to cancel him,
Well, yeah.
and I
Well,
don't
yeah,
blame
so
them.
you don't want to work with them.
And I'm so okay. Well, I don't know if I didn't sign an NDA, so whatever. But
Yeah.
I got the email blast for his book, and like I have worked with him previously, and like you
Uh-huh.
fill out a form, like a Google Doc, that says if you
Yeah.
want like an e-copy or a physical arc, and then like
Yep.
when you're gonna post it about it, whatever.
Yes.
Um, so I got one for his new book, and I thought it was very strange that they like I filled it out before, and I've gotten books
Uh-huh.
from him, and then I filled out this one for his upcoming book, and I never got a response or a copy of it. And I'm like, oh,
Oh.
because you don't want me to post a picture of myself with your book over my nipples. So,
Like,
yeah.
that's fine.
And I mean, there's been like, it's like all over my TikTok right now. And the only thing that I think will come up that hasn't blown up yet is I
Hmm.
was like scrolling, and there was this guy who was like a male book talker, and he was like, hey guys, like this is the book that I just got. And it was like, because the fourth Monkey book is the first in a trilogy.
Okay.
And so he was holding up a JD Barker book, and he was like, this is the sequel to like Fourth Monkey, whatever. And like somebody, like I was like, why are you promoting his books right now?
Oh no.
And somebody commented and was like, you might want to Google this author before you like promote his books. And he wrote, I'm aware. So there's like a male book
Oh,
talker out there who is like
who's
aware
like
of
a
like the
fan.
scandal that's going on, and is still choosing to support him. And I was like, disgusting. Not somebody I followed, but just like somebody that
Right.
popped up. So
Oh my
that's
gosh.
the
I'm looking
tea.
at this now and I do remember you recommending it to me, but I never read it, so now I probably never will.
Fourth Monkey, like obviously
Yeah.
do with this information what you will, whether it's you or anybody that's
Hmm.
listening. Fourth Monkey, like excellent book. Like the trilogy was so good. It's
Yeah.
about like the police investigating an active serial killer who was like hit by a bus.
Oh wow.
And it like goes back into like his childhood, and it was really good. Really, really
Oh
good.
wow.
I will not support him now.
Right.
I think that my copies of the fourth Monkey trilogy will probably be up on Pango very soon, because I can't see myself reading them and enjoying them ever again. But yeah, that's just the thing, right? Like, I don't care if like somebody does something problematic that I don't read,
Yeah.
because then I'm like, oh yeah, like if you're problematic or whatever, like I'm gonna support,
Yes.
whoever and not you. But it
Yeah.
just really sucks when I'm like, God, like somebody that I really enjoyed.
Oh, that
But
sucks.
yeah, I will not be supporting him in the least bit. People posted like screenshots of the emails that they got and everything, and the recommendations and stuff. It's
Oh
a
my gosh.
disaster. It's a
That's
disaster.
terrible.
And I was like laughing too, because I was like, this is like we've had so many conversations where I was like, I read mostly female authors.
Yeah, I
This
know.
is why, like, Jessica Knoll is not asking for this from me. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
No,
when I get my
no.
Jessica Knoll tattoo, I will be very, very comfortable in the fact that I know that she will never ask me to like promote her book by like holding it against my nipples or my like naughty areas.
Yeah, definitely out of the naughty areas.
So I'm just like, okay, like, this is
I
why.
know. I was looking at my between the lines lineup, I guess is what you would say. And I was like, man, I don't really have men on very often, but now maybe that's just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, not a good look. Not a good look for like there's just so many since I started like my
Hmm.
Bookstagram account, there have been so many like authors that people are trying to cancel, and they're
Yeah.
all they're all men.
Oh, yeah, I haven't heard about a woman.
No. Mm-mm. The only woman I've heard of recently was there was like a fantasy writer who like lost her deal because
Oh,
she was like she was like writing bad reviews for other fantasy books that were coming out in the same year as hers. And
I think
then
I
like
halfway remember this.
tried to like say it was like her cousin that did it or something. And like it was just
Oh,
like a big mess. But I think she lost her I think she lost her book deal.
damn. I mean,
And
don't do stuff like that.
there's an author, a romance author who wrote like a historical romance book, and she's kind of under heat right now. I don't know what her name is, but she's under heat right now because, and this is just a PSA to readers and authors in general, but like in the trigger warnings in the beginning of her book,
Mhm,
like in between sexual assault and violence was
mhm.
MM contact. So like
That was
she
it.
thought that like gay
Male.
male
Okay.
like sexual contact is should be a trigger warning.
Oh my God.
So I was
That's
like,
ridiculous.
and to put it in between like sexual assault and violence, like it's like
Right.
something that's gonna
Like,
disturb people. I was like, honey, I
oh
don't
my
know.
gosh.
Yeah, yeah. So
Dude, you need a trigger warning for when there's not male contact.
yeah, no butt stuff, no Gare. I'm out.
Yeah. You need the
Or
opposite.
yeah, I know, right? Like there is only
Only
heterosexual love
hetero.
in this.
Yeah.
But I actually don't mind because I won't read like I prefer MM romance, but I don't mind if there's romance in a thriller as long as I
Yeah.
can thirst after the character.
Yeah.
Like in Listen for the Lie, I
That's what
had
I
a
was
crush
about to
on
say.
him. Like he was
Yes.
tall
Such
and
a
gorgeous and
crush.
delicious and I loved him.
Yes. And witty.
So I can like totally crush on him,
Yeah. Same.
but
That was
I
that
don't
was a
read it.
perfect amount of FM contact. I'm trying
Yeah.
to come up for
Yeah.
a thriller. Like it didn't distract from it, but it was a nice addition.
There was a lot that I was like, oh, okay, I'm kind of enjoying this. But then it was like a little
Yes.
like fade to black.
Yes. Yeah, it
And
was
it
definitely Fade to Black, which is TBH. That's enough for me. I'm like, I'm ready to get back to the plot action.
yeah.
Can you with that?
So you had an amazing idea for
I
this week's
did.
episode.
Also, while I was scrolling TikTok, so clearly my TikTok hours are up this week. But someone was doing a TikTok of books they think or books they thought should be A24 movies, like adapted by them. And
Hmm.
I was like, ooh, we could definitely do that as a
Yeah,
subject.
yeah. I love that. I love that.
That's what we're here to talk about today.
Um, I went with like, did you have like a theme with yours?
No, I just like went with like what feels like because they have like they do a wide variety,
Yes.
but it's typically like a more unique story, I guess would be the only way I could. It's like not it's not as like common of a story, like it's not a kind of
That's
retold story, if that makes sense. Not in a bad way, but like it's just like a different kind of plot than you're used to for something.
That's what I went with. I went with stuff that was like unique or like very creepy or had something like
Mhm.
very different about it.
Yeah. Or like they're really dramatic aesthetic that they all let people lean into. I was thinking of
And their
like
filters,
books
their
that,
camera filters are amazing.
yes, that's kind of what was also in my mind. Was
Yeah.
like for definitely for like three of my five was like also like I feel like their aesthetic would match the vibe of the story.
Yeah. I think like my aesthetic for it is like unique, quirky, and creepy.
Yeah, a little bit more offbeat than normal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, now that we've like over like completely explained our criteria.
Yeah. Now's a good time. You want to kick us off?
Yeah. So to the point of like the creepy aesthetic or like being able to lean into an aesthetic, in this case, it would be creepy. The first one that came to mind for me was Ace of Spades by, I'm so sorry, Farida Abike Iyamide. I hope I got close. So it is kind of like billed as like Gossip Girl meets Get Out.
Mhm.
Um, so welcome to Nivea's private academy where money paves the hallways and the students are never less than perfect. Until now, because anonymous texter Aces is bringing two students' dark secrets to light. Talented musician Devon buries himself in rehearsals, but he can't escape the spotlight when his private photos go public. Head girl Shyamaka isn't afraid to get what she wants, but soon everyone will know the price she has paid for power. Someone is out to get them both, someone who holds all the aces, and they're planning much more than a high school game. And this was like dark YA. It is YA, but it was so dark and very like I feel like the walls are closing in around you as the story progresses. And I feel like they could aesthetically do that pretty well. I think that was why that one came to mind for me first. I can talk.
Yeah, we're just gonna yeah, we're just gonna talk about creepy aesthetic and we don't have to
All
talk
right.
about the books. Um, I still really want to read that. I still just
It is so
um
good, but there is not a single shred of, well, no, there's really not steaminess. There kind of is, but I really wouldn't even call it that.
well, my Steam is a little different nowadays, so
Hmm.
I would I would be fine with calling it light Steam. But yeah,
Yes.
I do want to check that out. Um
I'm super
my
excited for her next book, which I'm
Hi
gonna start
Pumpkin.
reading soon.
There's a little sad face looking at me.
Oh.
Um my first one is also probably one of the creepiest books I've ever read.
Ooh.
The ending is one of the most disturbing and dark and unsettling endings I've ever read. So this was actually my first pick because
Hmm.
I was like, if A24 did this, I just picture them doing the book justice because you know how it is with like adaptations. Sometimes you're like, oh,
Yes.
you ruined my favorite book. But if A24 did Nice Girls by Catherine Dang, I would totally be sold. Um, Mary used to be a nice girl. She was the resident whiz kid of Liberty Lake, Minnesota, the quiet, chubby teen with a scholarship to an Ivy League school. But now, 3 years later, Ivy League Mary is back. A thinner, cynical, restless failure who was kicked out of Cornell at the beginning of her senior year and won't tell anyone why. Taking a job at the local grocery store, Mary tries to make sense of her life's sharp downward spiral. Then the beautiful, magnetic Olivia Willand, I believe is the last name, goes missing. So Olivia is a rising social media star and admired by everybody in Liberty Lake except for Mary, because Mary and Olivia used to be best friends, and so nobody knows the true Olivia like Mary. So, as the town obsesses over perfect, lovely Olivia, Mary wonders if her disappearance might be tied to another missing person, a 19-year-old named Demaria Jackson, whose case was widely dismissed as a runaway. Um, so they say, who is the real Olivia? Where did she go? What happened to Demaria? And Mary tries to figure out what's going on and if these two cases are connected. Um,
I
it's
still
so
need to
dark.
read that.
Oh my God, it's so dark and so sinister. You would love, 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 love,
It
love.
sounds like it. I love the cover. I even like bought it after you talked about it one time, so
I
it's
love the
just chilling
cover.
on my Kindle.
I love the cover. This is like one of those books that I was like, this should get the Gone Girl treatment. And
Yeah.
there's just like so much going on, which like anybody who's read it can like DM me anytime. You and I can talk more in depth about it when you read it, but there's just like a
Mhm.
lot going on that I think is very timely, and especially the whole um this girl who was a black girl goes missing and the cops are like, oh, she's a
Mhm.
runaway, and then like the popular pretty white girl goes missing and like the town is like in
Mhm.
shambles, so
Right.
there's like a lot of like that kind of conversation in the book, and there's a lot
Nice.
like other things that are a conversation to be had, but
Mm.
for spoilers I won't say anything because
No more.
everybody needs to be shocked, disturbed, and bewildered. Like an
Oh my
A24 should pick it
gosh.
up.
You have sold me. You need to bump it back up.
So good.
I know your dog just showed up and mine is scratching my foot right now.
He's like,
Having a dog heavy podcast.
if I don't have a babysitter, I record from here because I want him
Uh-huh.
to think that I'm working. Because like
Yep.
usually he'll just like do his own thing when I'm working. Like
Hmm.
sometimes like he like catches on because like now he's just like, okay, I'm just gonna be sat over here in the corner. Like let me know when you're done
Yeah.
fake working.
Fake working. Yes. Well, my next one, it was the aesthetic. I feel like they would make this one so cool.
Mhm.
And it is, oh, I'm building it up with so much suspense, but it's Bathhouse by PJ Vernon that first just keeps scratching my foot. Wouldn't they kill it? Did you have it on yours?
No,
Or are
but
you just
that's such a good.
excited?
I'm actually so glad that I didn't have it on mine because, like,
Yeah,
you know how, like, sometimes I'll be like, oh shit, that's a good one. I wish I would have thought of that.
yeah,
But it's like, I'm glad I didn't think of that because you putting that on my
yeah.
radar is just like, you're
Oh, it
completely
would
100%
kill it with
kill
this one.
it.
Like so much of it. So, Oliver Park, a young recovering addict from Indiana, woohoo, finally
What?
has finally getting represented in fiction.
Indiana.
Yeah, yeah, not so much this time of year.
Same.
So he finally has everything he ever wanted: sobriety and a loving, wealthy partner in Nathan, a prominent DC trauma surgeon. Despite their difference in age and disparate backgrounds, they've made a perfect life together. With everything to lose, Oliver shouldn't be visiting Haus, a gay bathhouse, but through the entrance he goes and it's a line crossed. Inside, he follows a man into a private room and it's the final line. Whatever happens next, Nathan can never know. But then everything goes wrong, terribly wrong, and Oliver barely escapes with his life. He races home in full-blown terror as the hand-shaped bruise grows dark on his neck. The truth will destroy Nathan and everything they have together. So Oliver does the thing he used to do so well. He lies. What follows is a classic runaway train narrative full of exquisite escalations, edge of your seat thrills, and oh my god, twists, which is so true.
So
It
true.
is such a fun thriller. And they would just kill it. They would kill it with the vibes.
I just am obsessed with that book, and I'm obsessed with you for
Yeah.
saying it. I think that like my plan in life is to like find you like queer thrillers
I
that we can
know.
enjoy together
I know.
because
Unfortunately, the romance doesn't, there's not enough for me most of the time. But yes, we need to find them.
yeah, yeah, I 100% agree.
This is one of
Bathhouse,
them.
yes, it is.
Mhm.
And it's the perfect segue because my
Nice.
next one is a queer thriller.
Perfect. My next one is too. We're gonna have a little line of them.
Oh my God. This is
Let's
amazing.
go.
Let's get it. So mine, and this is really funny too, because mine's a queer thriller, but I also agree with you about everything you said about Bathhouse, is how I feel about Seeing Strangers by Sebastian J. Plata. It's just like
Mhm.
the style, like they would just like do such a good job with like the creepy building
Yes.
tension in the story. Um,
Mhm.
and it's about a guy named Greg Kelly. He's married to Spanish-born artist Christian, who is handsome, kind, and can even cook. Um, so basically, they kind of have the perfect life, and they also have an open marriage. So it's been open for the past few years. This arrangement's been very appealing to Greg because he
Mhm.
has a very high sexual appetite. But as they
Mhm.
approach their mid-30s, fatherhood and adulthood call, and they enlist a friend to act as a surrogate. So, in order to focus on building a family, Greg and Christian decide to close their marriage when the baby arrives, which basically is like pushing Greg to be like, I need to like bang everybody in the city that I want to before this baby comes. Um, so he's kind of gonna miss like the hookups, but also is looking forward to like one last summer, hoorah.
Mhm.
So he meets a bunch of guys and coordinates train routes and lunchtime hookups and all of these other things. But as the baby's due date approaches, anxiety sets in over Greg's impending parental responsibilities, the loss of his sexual freedom, and his marriage to Christian. So before he can set out his feelings, an old hookup reappears. His name is Russell. He's an arrogant TV producer, and he's kind of pissed off at Greg. But the problem is, Russell won't go away and kind of infiltrates his way into Greg's life in the worst way possible, threatening both his marriage and sanity.
Mhm.
So to
I'm
me,
remembering you talking about this one. This was another one I needed to read. I'm so glad we did this subject.
this is like one of my favorite episodes ever.
It's so fun.
You are a fucking genius. And I
Thanks.
love you like with all of my heart. But like seeing strangers is just like a combination of the movie Shame with Michael Fassbender, where he like goes on a downward spiral because he's a sex addict, and
Mhm.
Fatal Attraction. Like, it's kind of like if Fatal Attraction were remade by A24, but they were like, let's just like make this a queer thriller, like
Right.
sexy men, butts everywhere, like tension, creepiness, like, and there's something
Yes.
like I don't know. Oh, we were talking about Amina Akhtar's book, but like there's
Yes.
something very claustrophobic about a
Mhm.
thriller that takes place in New York City because
Yes. Oh.
everything is so out in the open, like you
Mhm.
are not safe unless you are in a relatively small apartment.
Yes.
So I just it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that book with all my heart.
Oh, I need to read that one now too.
Yeah.
Forgot about it for who knows how many months. If you can hear Harley chewing in the background on a big rawhide, I apologize. But
If you can
hopefully she's far enough
it
away.
could be worse, okay? Like Murphy has not
Right?
asked to go pee yet.
Right. Harley's hinting at it, but I'm like, girl, you're just gonna have to wait.
Yeah.
Um, so my next one is called Profit by Helen McDonald and Scene Blanche. Definitely a French name. So who knows if I did that right. But this one, the concept feels so A24, like a concept that they would pick up. And the concept is your happiest memory is their deadliest weapon. This is profit. It knows when you are happiest, it gives life to your fondest memories, and then uses them to destroy you. But who has created it and what do they want? An all American diner appears overnight in a remote British field. It's brightly lit, warm, and inviting, but it has no power, no water, no connection to the real world. It's like a memory made of flesh, a nostalgic flight of fancy. More and more objects, toys, fairground rides, pets, and other treasured mementos of the past. And deaths quickly follow. Something is bringing these memories to life, then stifling innocent people with their own joy. This is a weapon like no other, but nobody knows who created it or why. Sunil Rao seems a surprising choice of investigator. Chaotic and unpredictable, the former agent is the antithesis of his partner, Colonel Adam Rubinstein, the model of a military man. But Sunil has the unique ability to distinguish truth from truth in objects. I feel like there's an extra word there. Truth in objects, words, and people in the past and in real time. And Adam is the only one who truly knows him after a troubled past together. Now, as they battle this strange new reality, they are drawn closer than ever to defend what they both hold most dear. For profit can weaponize the past, but only love will protect the future. Forgot it had such a powerful synopsis ender there.
Damn.
But yeah, it has so many things going on, very like sci-fi, but like also like a, a lot of fun questions brought up about if someone could use something that makes you like so happy to lure you into traps, like that is pretty terrifying. So like that part is fascinating and it's a thriller and they have tension through the whole book. So there's all kinds of stuff going
Everything. A little something for everyone.
on.
Well, that sounds wild.
Yeah, it was very unique. It was very different than most things I read.
Hmm.
It was one of the first books I got on NetGalley.
Really?
Yeah, last year.
Um, well, if you want wild and unique,
Always.
this is actually the one that I was like, because I told you I made like a list of like 10 books.
Hmm.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my list. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna narrow these down, but like this is like the one that I was like, if somebody from A24 grabbed my list, this would probably be the one, like the top one on my list that they would make into a movie.
Hmm.
Um, just because it's so like unique and stylish and like you can just kind of see it like as an
Hmm.
A24 movie when you read it.
Yeah.
Um, so it's called Real Easy by Marie Rakowski.
Mm.
And in 1999, Samantha has danced for years at the Lovely Lady, a strip club. She's not used to mixing work and friendship. After all, between her jealous boyfriend and his young daughter, she has enough on her plate. But the newest dancer is so clueless that Samantha feels compelled to help her learn the hustle and drama of the club, how to sweet talk the boss, fit in with the other women, and make good money. One night, when the new girl needs a ride home, Samantha agrees to drive, a simple decision that turns deadly. Georgia, another dancer drawn into the ensuing murder and missing person investigation, gathers information for Holly, a grieving detective determined to solve the case. Georgia just wants to help, but her involvement makes her a target. As Holly and Georgia round out their suspects, the story's point of view shifts between dancers, detectives, children, club patrons, and the killer. And
Yeah.
the author was
This is another one I've got to read.
yeah, the author was a former dancer. So like she kind of
Oh
has
wow.
experience. But it's just very real. It's a very like female driven story. It's a large
Hmm.
cast. It's kind of like just very stylish and very well written.
Yeah.
So I think that like this would be one of those situations where um like if she wrote the screenplay, it would be amazing.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like that's the one that has like lots of perspectives, right?
Did you hear that?
Hmm.
You did not hear him bark?
I didn't.
Oh
I
my
don't know why.
God, little psycho. Um, he's just being a brat. Yes, it has a ton of different perspectives.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Sounds cool.
Yeah, it's really good.
I heard that one. Well, everyone knows we have dogs at this point,
Yeah,
so well, I have another one
he's
that
laying on the
is
ground. He's laying on the ground,
so's mine.
whining.
Oh,
I'm gonna take
Murphy.
a picture and text it to you because this dog is just ridiculous.
He's being a dog. He's like, I am the center of the universe.
He's just a little brat. Um, okay. What's your next one?
So it is another really female driven one working oh my gosh, he's being dramatic. Working a non-traditional job, I guess is what I'm gonna say. And it is The Lady Upstairs by our girl Hallie Sutton, who we love.
Yes.
Um, so this is about Joe. Joe's job is blackmailing the most lecherous men in Los Angeles. Handsy Hollywood producers, adulterous actors, corrupt cops. Sure, she likes the money she's making, which comes in handy for the debt she's paying off, but it's also a chance to take back power for the women of the city. Eager to prove herself to her coworker Lou and their enigmatic boss, known only as the Lady Upstairs, Joe takes on bigger and riskier jobs. When one of her targets is murdered, both the lady upstairs and the LAPD have Joe in their sights. Desperate to escape the consequences of her failed job, she decides to take on just one more sting, bringing down a rising political star. It's her biggest con yet, and she will do it behind the lady's back, freeing both herself and Lou. But Joe soon learns that Lou and the lady have secrets of their own and that no woman is safe when there is a life-changing payout on the line. This one is like a kind of like seedy LA noir. And I feel like they would just make so many of the scenes look so cool. And I
I
love the
bet.
story.
I bet. I can't wait to read that one. I have a copy of it.
I
Um,
really loved it. I flew through it.
yeah. I feel like the thing that is interesting too is that like A24 hasn't done like a lot of like noir, so like that would be a perfect pick.
I just realized this one's LGBT as well, is one of its genres. So that means all of them. That must something about A24 must speak to that side of my books.
Yeah. Um, I have one that I think is like very creepy and stylish that we've both read
Ooh,
that I think would work. And this was like my last pick because I was like, I don't know if I could like see it or if I just really want it.
yeah.
But it's Look What You Made Me Do by Elaine Murphy.
Ooh, yeah.
And it is just so good. There's a woman named Carrie Lawrence who just wants a normal life and she doesn't need a happily ever after. She'll just settle for after. Because it's been a decade of helping her sister hide her victims, a lifetime of lies. She just wants to be safe, boring, and not trekking through the woods at night with a dead body wrapped up in a carpet. Her sister Becca wants to get away with murder. Becca Lawrence does not believe in happily ever after because she's already happy. She's gotten away with murder for a decade and has blackmailed her sister into helping her hide the evidence. What more could a girl want? But first, they have to stop a serial killer because 13 bodies are discovered in their small town, and everyone is shocked, but not as shocked as Carrie because she thought she knew all of the bodies that were hidden. But Becca swears
So
that she's not the one that's behind all of these crimes. So they realize that not only is Becca an active serial killer in town, but there's another one in town who is onto them.
it is so good.
It's so good.
Murphy thinks it's great too. No, that would be a really fun one to see.
Yeah, I just
And
picture
there's the
like,
sequel, so they could even do the sequel.
and I'm crossing my fingers for a third book.
Yeah, that would be
I'm crossing my
amazing.
fingers. I just don't, I mean, I don't really care what she writes next. I'll read it. I just am like
Yeah.
obsessed with this story.
I'm trying to
But I'm
remember.
just
I interviewed her about the sequel, and I can't remember if she said there was maybe a third one. I'll have to go back and listen now.
I think especially like with Carrie's perspective, like you could do anything,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
I agree.
Um, but especially like all of the scenes in the woods, I can picture that like blue green hue and
Yes.
it just being like, oh my God, like just kill me now. I would
Yes.
love. I would love.
The really low lit scenes that you have to like focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So
Well, my next one you almost made me bring up earlier because it is a very claustrophobic one. And
mm,
it's Almost Surely Dead by Amina Akhtar.
mhm.
First scene, when you were like talking about it, I was trying not to talk about it too long, but like the first scene is like kind of terrifying to like read. And that's
Yes.
like I can only imagine how well they would do that first scene. But it is about Dunya Ahmed, who lives an ordinary life, or she definitely used to. Now she's the subject of a true crime podcast. She's been missing for over a year, and no one knows if she's dead or alive. But her story has listeners obsessed, and people everywhere are sporting merch that demands find Dunya. In the days before her disappearance, Dunya is a successful pharmacist living in New York. The daughter of Pakistani immigrants, she's coping with a broken engagement and the death of her mother. But when something happens that really shakes her up, someone tries to murder her. When her would-be killer winds up dead, Dunya figures the worst is over. But then there's another attempt on her life and another, and police suspect someone close to her may be the culprit. Dunya struggles to make sense of what's happening, and as childhood superstitions seep into her reality, she becomes convinced that someone or something is truly after her. It's just very
So wild.
creepy.
It's
It's a
so
really
creepy.
creepy read, and so I can only imagine like how creepy it would be in like a cinematic sense.
Similar to Amina Akhtar's writing, I feel
Hmm.
like it's like you have to be very like you have to have like a specific tone in a
Hmm.
movie in order to have like a thriller with like supernatural elements in it
Yes.
and make
Hmm.
it like believable and like entertaining and terrifying, and like that's exactly what she portrays in her books.
Yeah.
Um so I could totally see that being an A24 film.
Yes. It
100%.
creeped me out.
Yeah.
One time I can't remember if I said this already on here or not, but when I was reading it, I started it at like probably like 7 or something. Well, on a night when Tyler was like out of town. And when I got to like 10 o'clock, I was like getting to some really creepy, very descriptive parts. And I had to be like, I need to pull myself out of this. Like I was like so, especially because I'd been like so sucked into it for so many hours. I was like, I need to snap out of this if I'm gonna sleep tonight.
It's really funny too because when you were telling me that about like being creeped out and like maybe I should not
Mhm.
read this alone, I was
Yeah.
like, I cannot wait to pick this up and see if I can pinpoint
Hmm.
what happens in the book that made you so scared.
Hmm.
And then as I was reading the book, I was like, okay, so it's cover to cover. Like there's not one chapter
Right.
that like there wasn't something like unsettling or creepy
Yeah.
happening that like you would want to read alone. And that ending
Right.
was fucking,
And he was wild.
yeah, that
And they
ending
would
was
do it
fucking
so
wild.
well as a
It's
movie.
like it's almost like if you wanted to compare like Amina Akhtar's book is like the Hereditary of thrillers. Like
Oh yeah.
because Hereditary was like a thriller that had like supernatural elements in it
Yeah.
and it just yeah, really really good.
Yeah. I loved it. I love her.
Um she's such a good writer.
She and I talked forever, per years. So you can
She's
also
so
listen to
sweet.
that. Hmm.
Um well, my next pick, my last pick
Hmm.
is the book that reminded me of Moonlight, and the
Nice.
emotional reaction I had to Moonlight, which I thought was like very sad and very like devastating, but also like
Oh yeah.
beautiful and amazing. And it's one of my favorite
Mhm.
movies. So I just read this past week.
Right. I was gonna say,
It's
yeah.
my favorite book of 2024. Like nothing's gonna
Oh,
top this. I love it, love it, love it so much.
oh.
How We Name the Stars by Andre and Ordorica,
Mhm.
Ordorica. I'm sorry if I butchered your last name, but your book is amazing and I love you.
We apologize to
Yeah,
everyone who
sorry.
we pronounced
Um,
tonight.
yeah. Um, it is about Daniel De Luna, who arrives as a scholarship student at an elite East Coast university, and he bears the weight of his family's hopes and dreams and the burden of sharing his late uncle's name. So Daniel flounders at first, but then he meets his roommate, Sam, who changes everything. And as Sam and Daniel's relationship evolves from brotherly banter to something more intimate, Daniel finds himself in love with a man who helps him see himself in a new light. But just as the relationship takes flight, Daniel's pulled away, first by Sam's hesitation and then by a brutal turn of events that changes his life forever. So, as he grapples with profound loss, Daniel finds himself in his family's ancestral homeland in Mexico for the summer, finding joy in his setting, even though he struggles to come to terms with what's happened in his life. Um, so he questions, how does the person he's connected with, this place and his family comes from? How is his own story connected to his late uncle's, and how might he reconcile the many parts of himself as he learns to move forward?
You texted me about this one.
I'm still
So
sad.
emotional. You were so shook. And I was like,
So
so you
shook.
loved it.
Love, love, loved. So like I'm like, okay, I used to be, this is like one of my 2024 things, right? Is like I used to be big on like being like, this is what I have to read in the month,
Hmm.
and very focused and determined on
Yeah.
a monthly TBR. And then I was like, I need to be more like free willy when I like
Right.
read my TBR. So now I do it only by week. Like I'm like, here are like 2, 3 books I want to read during the week, whatever.
Yeah.
And I had like picked up that one because I wanted something like that. But
Mhm.
like my next book after reading it was Amina Akhtar's book.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, how do I go from something like this to just
Right.
like picking up a book the next day? And like, it was a little
Yeah.
bit of a struggle. It would have been a struggle for me to get into any book, but I
Oh
was just
yeah.
like, this is probably one of the worst book hangovers I've ever had in my entire life.
I bet.
Like, I
Yeah.
immediately finished it and like cried. And then I was like, do I just pick this up again and like torture myself all over? But yeah,
Maybe.
it's an amazing story and I love it. And it's going
Mhm.
to be my favorite book of 2024.
Oh man, you just know.
I know. I just
On a
know.
related note, you texted me about it while we were seeing American Fiction.
Hmm.
Um, so freaking good.
Is
Like
that?
it is so good. It was so funny. Like the satire is just
Hmm.
amazing. But then like all the stories they fit in and it was way more emotional than I expected. It was just yeah, it was amazing. It's like fun if you kind of are into fiction and read fiction,
I'll have
but
to check it out.
the satire and the way that they made fun of like hyper woke culture was hilarious. And it was fun seeing it in a movie theater too, because people really were like cracking up multiple times.
That's really fun when like you see a movie that has like that kind of
Yeah.
reaction where like people are either laughing all at the same time or like in my case like screaming at the same time. Like,
Yes.
um, but yeah.
We saw Anyone But You, which was another one that like blew my expectations out of the water. So much funnier than I expected, and like there really was a lot of plot happening, so you didn't feel like you were stalling in a rom-com basically.
Mhm.
But when they first kissed, someone like the best way I can describe it is like squeed. Like someone was like
Oh,
someone like got so excited and started clapping behind us, and I was like, okay, like it would never be me, but that was adorable.
that's me reading my romances.
Yeah, I wondered.
Like there's something about like this is kind of like how I feel about like thrillers and romance, but it's like you know when you like read a thriller and you think that you have pieced together the ending or you think like you guess like a
Yeah,
twist or who the killer is, but then like you're
yes.
like, you know what, I still enjoyed the book because I enjoyed it, even though I guessed it, like I
Yeah,
enjoy getting that's kind of like when I read a romance, I'm like, okay, this is obviously going to be like a happily ever after, but I'm
yeah.
really excited to see how we get to that point and like what happens throughout the book, especially if it's like enemies to lovers.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, like The Proposal with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds is
Oh,
one of
that
my
was so good.
favorite movies in the entire world.
Anyone But You is like in that same vein.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
They're like it's more like fake dating, but like they're kind of enemies before they fake date.
Yeah, yeah. I also just watched Something Borrowed recently, which I
Hmm.
love. And
Hmm.
that's one of my favorite ones with Kate Hudson.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm down for more. Tyler and I were both laughing like quite a bit during it. Just want more
Something
movies.
Something
I'm glad the
Borrowed is
writers.
like a cheating trope, and it's like Kate
I know I've
Hudson
seen it, but it was a while ago.
Kate Hudson and Jennifer Goodwin are like best friends. And when they were in college, like Jennifer Goodwin had a crush on this guy, but like she was too nervous to tell him. So like Kate
Yeah.
Hudson is like the wild, sexy friend, and she's like, fine, ask me out. And he like ends up asking her out and they like get engaged. And then like
Uh,
the friend sleeps with Kate Hudson's fiance.
oh man.
And it's just like drama and comedy. Like John
Yeah.
Krasinski's in it, and he's so fucking
Yes.
funny.
Yeah.
Steve
Hmm.
Howie's in it from like
Oh,
Shameless.
really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh my
God, he
gosh.
is hilarious in it. It is so
I love
funny.
him.
Oh my God, it's one of my favorite movies in the entire world.
Yeah, I know I saw it back when I remember seeing it with one of my friends, but I haven't seen it in a while, so I didn't remember all of that.
Yeah. Oh, it's just so
Definitely, I
good.
mean, I didn't know who Steve Howie was when I would have seen it.
Me
Now I have a
either.
greater appreciation.
Me either. It's just like one of those things because like I'm a rewatcher. So like when I was
Yes.
like I saw it like on social media or something and I was like, oh my God, I need to
Hmm.
rewatch Something Borrowed. Like I just like love that movie.
Yeah.
It's a comfort watch.
Yep.
And then like I saw him in it and I was like, oh my God, like I did not have enough respect or like the ability to recognize Steve Howie when I first
Yeah.
saw this movie compared to like now.
Yeah. I totally get that. I found kind of a new comfort watch, which like obviously I don't like necessarily rewatch, but I would consider it a very comfort watch show. And it is The Traitors on Peacock. I don't know if it's on
Everyone keeps
anything
telling me to
else.
watch this.
Oh my gosh, it is such fun reality, like, but like it's like Big Brother and like Clue kind of together. So like there are two traders, or there's a different amount of traders each season that are like murdering people each night, kind of like mafia, and then the
Mhm.
faithfuls are trying to figure out who the traders are. It is so fun. It's like way too campy. So sometimes you're like, oh my God, they're really playing this kind of music right now
Yeah.
in a reality TV competition. But like very easy to watch, but also like very suspenseful. It kind of feels like you're in a Agatha Christie trope, but reality TV.
Well, I just finished Insecure,
Oh yeah, you did.
and it took me a
Another good
while. I have a little puppy who needs a belly rub.
one.
Um,
Oh,
I have, it took me forever to get through it because I would like watch a season and then get distracted by something else. And I literally watched the entire last season in like 2 days. And I was like, wow, I'm like feeling kind of emotional. Like I'm really gonna miss
yeah,
Issa and Molly and like all
I
of the
know.
like gorgeous men in that show.
So many beautiful men.
Oh my God. So I was like, I'm
Lots
feeling a
of
little
butts.
emotional. Lots of butts. Lots of butts. Um, and I was like, oh my God, I just am gonna miss this show so much. And I was feeling very emotional. And
Yeah.
the next morning is when I started How We Name the Stars.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, oh my God.
That's a lot.
I was not like I probably should have watched like fucking Blues Clues or something before I like read How to Name the Stars.
Yeah,
I was
something
just
like
not
that.
ready.
Well, at least you
Mm,
loved it.
my dad. I love Insecure and I love How We Name the Stars.
Yeah. And all of our A24
Oh my
adaptation
God.
recommendations.
Ugh,
We're like, come on, guys. Hopefully
so
they
much
like see
fun.
this episode and they're like, can you guys help us adapt more movies
Hey, do
or
you guys
more
want to be
books?
like
Yeah.
producers? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys
Totally.
just read all of these books and just like we'll pay you to read every day and
Yes.
we will pay you to find us all of the queer stories and all of the thrillers and all of the queer thrillers and all of the like sci-fi and cool
Yes.
shit that you guys love. We're
Yeah.
gonna turn that shit into movies.
This is what we are manifesting for. I mean, we're in the first day of February, but
Yeah.
this feels like something good to manifest for 2024.
Oh my God, yeah. Hollywood, here we come.